Carl, you don't understand.
Don't be a douchebag about this.
You have got to get out of that pool right now, man.
All right, yeah. Or else what?
Or else that dynamite in the pool is gonna go off, Carl, along with the entire eastern seaboard if you don't get your ass out of there now!
Look, I put the dynamite in here for a reason that I come up with when I had a lot to drink.
Hey everybody, it's Ignicknot. So while we wait on our Unico Nova Blast candy cabinets, I figured I'd show this thing off now that I've gone ahead and updated it last night. So yeah, this is my HP EliteDesk. This is not the super small form factor, but just a small form factor. I don't have a banana for scale, but I can give you a Mountain Dew. How about that? You can tell the general generation by the front end trim piece. So the older ones have like a half silver, half black sort of front, whether it's a super small form factor or just a normal small form factor. And then the newer ones have this kind of 80s, I don't know, shutter sort of looking vent motif, which I actually kind of dig. I mean, it says a lot that something from HP makes me happy to any degree. I went ahead and upgraded this. So it came with a Ryzen 7 3.8 gigahertz 5750G processor and only 4 gigs of RAM. It has an M.2 hard drive in there with Windows on it, which the previous owner kindly put on a fresh copy with no sign-in password, which I genuinely appreciate. Thank you, Mr. Japanese guy who sent this to me. I then went ahead, I had bought this, but 16 gigs of DDR4, ironically enough, HP branded RAM. This was actually like RGB, you know, like with the little cooler, the RAM cooler on top that lights up like a Christmas tree, which, you know, on a build like this, who gives a flying fuck, right? But this is a really nice computer. I'm going to show you around because it has some features which is pretty cool. So first off, plenty of USB ports. I'm using 3 currently right now. The mouse, the keyboard, and the hard drive. There's 2 more. You have stock 2 display ports. This here, as you can see, is not a part of the I/O that's built into the motherboard. This is actually a module which you can swap out for all different ones. Luckily, mine came with HDMI, which is what I want for my Unico Nova Blast. You have this one screw here, captive screw, so it doesn't come out all the way, so you're not going to lose it, which is nice. And then you just pull up on this little handle here, and this whole cover just slides straight off. Second thing, and this, oh, by the way, I thought this was cool. Apparently the ones sold in Japan are made in Tokyo. I don't think the ones made, or I don't think the ones that are sold in the United States, I should say, are made in Tokyo. I just thought that was an interesting little thing. Also, they seem to have an exclusive on these vertical stands, which I have not seen any American models have. And while you can't tell, because obviously I opened them, hopefully you can tell by the paper that's wrapping the cords, but the mouse and the keyboard were sealed brand new. And I got a nice old Japanese English keyboard, which is nifty. I do want to walk you through this before you get your Unico. This HP is a wee bit of a bitch. I've not worked with HPs. I build my own computers, so it was a little weird, I won't lie, trying to figure this out. In fact, I reached out to a buddy of mine super late at night asking for help, and then ended up figuring out on my own by the time he got back to me. But basically what you want to do, in order to get to BIOS, unlike most computers I'm used to where it's like delete or F2, it's actually F10. So you want to jam and cram on F10. The BIOS doesn't look like your standard BIOS where, you know, it looks like a computer from like 1982 and all shitty. And it doesn't look like your gamer sort of motherboard where it has that look to it. It kind of looks like a shitty Windows, for lack of a better description. It's like a white background with like normal fine text and like blue links, and I don't know, it just reminds me of Windows like interface. The first thing I had to do, I set the language to English because as cool as the Japanese was, when you're trying to find specific settings, dealing with a language that you can't read in a BIOS is completely unnecessary, so I switched it to English. You want to make sure that first off, your boot order is correct, which didn't work for me. I'll come back to that, but still do it. And then the second thing you want to do is turn off Safe Boot. And that's in the Securities tab, I believe. There's a whole bunch of other freaking options that are there that will be grayed out if you uncheck it. Just uncheck it, doesn't matter. Once you save, it'll reboot, but not to what you think. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to do several warning screens in a row, all related to the permissions that you just changed. And they're going to require you to type in a number that's 4 digits. So it'll be random, but it'll be like, 3, 4, 6, 8. And you have to type in 3, 4, 6, 8 and then hit enter to basically acknowledge the warning screen on the screen. It's still booted to Windows for me, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I did some searching, and it turns out that what you want to do, even though you've set it so that your other hard drive with Batocera on it is the main boot, it won't work until you boot up by jamming and cramming on F2. If you do that, it comes up with a menu with a bunch of options, and one of them, I believe it's 9 or 6, I think it's 9, is boot order. And if you select, and it's in the correct order, okay, so you don't have to do anything, but if you just select the drive with your Batocera on it, then it'll boot. And then every time there and after, it'll boot to the correct Batocera drive. No, I don't know why. I think HP is just really bitchy when it comes to making it boot to anything other than the default Windows, and it just makes you go through a lot of hoops. So now, power. Okay, you'll see my awesome, potentially, you'll see my, there's a RGB unicorn vomit coming from the HP EliteDesk. Don't be scared by the HP thing. Sometimes it'll show the HP logo plus this fox, which is like some part of like security. Don't worry about that, because in the top left hand corner in super tiny white text, it'll say loading Batocera. It'll say loading Linux Batocera, and that's what you want. So you'll have no problems. Okay, there we go. So it'll do this number. Well, I mean, I don't know if it'll do that for you, but my build does that number, and then you're in, okay? So, yeah, I basically got everything I could possibly ever want to play, from, arcade, classic consoles, computers, all the way through more complex arcade, like Naomi 2, STV, obviously your basic shit like CPS2, Neo Geo, you got CPS3 even, you got M2, M3, and this thing will play them all. And so if you want some options, hit the space bar. And obviously I don't have this hooked up to my Nova Blast, but once I do, and I plug it in via, I'm assuming USB, I can configure my control here, which is good. System settings, that's what it is. I have the power saving mode disabled. It does like to go to sleep fairly quickly. And let's be real, you're not running this on like a portable, so I would turn that to disabled. Now, this is important. The audio controller, the audio output, it was on default. And my sound was coming out the frickin' internal sound speaker for that's meant, to give you warning codes out of the box, which was cute. Hearing arcade sounds coming out of the vent holes. But like realistically, you wanted to set it to your television, which should be the first of two options. And that's basically it. If you quit, you can, shut down the whole thing if you want. You hit escape if you want to just back out. Now, keep in mind, I can't play anything because I don't have controllers, but I can show you something which is important that I wanted to make sure was a thing before I got into this. And we can check out Armored Warriors. And keep in mind, seeing as I own a CPS2 and I know how this works, by default, the attract mode is not going to have sound. You can turn that on. If you want to get into your dip switches, you can go ahead and hit F2. And you can go in and change the configuration. Now, keep in mind, I can't do that on the keyboard, which is why I can't turn on the sound in the attract mode for you, because I can't seem to find whatever the button is for one player shot to basically hit like an A button to accept. So I'm kind of just stuck here. So I'll just back out and then you're gone. And that's basically it. I will be showing you guys this running once I get my cabinet in, but I mean, literally everything you could want to play on this thing is here. Genuinely, I'm pretty flippin' excited, I won't lie. I think it's going to be really cool having access to all this stuff. And the way I figure is, the stuff that ain't going to work too well, like this game, for example. Like if I want to play Scud Race, obviously it's not going to work very well with a joystick and 6 to 8 buttons, right? So realistically, though, I can just have like an Xbox controller plugged into this as well and set that up as what I use for 3D racing games, right? And then it'll be nice too, because I can go ahead and play console games as well as arcade, although this will be primarily for arcade, but there's going to be a lot of console games that would translate well to a arcade machine such as the Nova Blast that we're getting. And that's it. So this is my plan. And, all said and done, it's not a lot of money, guys. It's really not a lot of money. A couple $100 from Japan, I want to emphasize, because these computers here in the States, for whatever reason, go for several $100s more. You're talking like the $600 to $800 range for this configuration. I do not know why. And that's used. That's like beat up used, with no vertical stand, no brand new keyboard, no mouse, no nothing like that. It's just the freaking box. Whereas this came in the original brown cardboard retail box, and the keyboard and mouse were brand new in the original boxes as well, with the vertical stand. So I would definitely recommend trying an importer like Zen Market and perusing Yahoo Auctions or Japanese Mercari for deals like this. You will find them. So if you're looking for something to coincide with your arcade PCBs, and you're looking at maybe like modded Xboxes or a little itty bitty Ryzen powered, Nook or something like that, but just nothing seems to really fit the bill. You want something that's more powerful, but you don't want like a Raspberry Pi or like a little Nook PC, but you don't want something that has like a big fucking GPU. It's going to cost you a ton of money. Consider an HP EliteDesk. I will say this as well. You do not need a more current generation one like the one I got. I picked it up because it was so cheap, because why not? You can get the silver and black models. I would personally get at least a Ryzen 5 or a Ryzen 7 would be nice. I wouldn't get one that's super old with a Ryzen 3. Make sure you get RAM. Emulation is RAM heavy. You do not want to be fucking skirting around with like 4 gigs of RAM, especially if you're going to be doing stuff like Naomi 2 or Sega Model 3 or, you know, harder to emulate stuff like that. It's super cheap. DDR4 RAM is stupid cheap, especially open box or used. You're talking like I said, like $30 or whatever for 16 gigs. Just upgrade it. Anyway, see you guys next time. McNickNod out. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully we get some news about the Nova Blast soon, and if I see it, I will share it. See ya.
Uh-oh. Hold on for it.